Hey there, Twisted Sage here. Taurus moon. Guess right around 25 degrees Taurus moon. Just how things kind of worked out. So I'm actually back here in my foundating areas of growing up in Bullhead City. Yesterday I cruised through Fresno, California, just because I've never been there, but that's where I was born. I figured to go ahead and show like this area. None of this was here when I was a kid. Can't see the palms way in the back. There were some soccer fields where I grew up playing soccer, but they've turned into a massive amount of baseball and soccer. Just right on down here. I know it's dark, but it's Colorado River. I know up in the White Mountains we received some of the most snow we've seen in a long time. But that being said, so is a lot of North America. This being the Colorado River. I know Colorado received record snow. But earlier when I was down here taking a dip, holy crap, I've never seen, I mean, I grew up here for 7 years of my life and had never seen it this full. We're talking like, hell, it seemed like 3/4 of the beach is gone because the water's so full. Man, and oddly calm here. This place is known for wind, 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 and wind. I grew up, I mean, I guess I'd never, even when I'm skinny, I'm not that skinny, but when I grew up here, I definitely was a little thicker of a kid. Right around 8, I started to chunk up. And I'd always put my hand in my shirt, kind of pulling it away from my body so the wind wouldn't blow it against my belly. But anyways, yeah, but you can see right here, that's extremely high. Kind of touching on weather patterns or whatever, but yeah, that's, I don't know, this river's huge, real wide, real swift. But yes, the Taurus moon. So Taurus is always going to deal with foundation, all the earth signs. Let me just, I guess, put a note down that when you go to look at your chart, all the signs are influencing and have pull on your life. But when you have a planet there, astral body, it's gonna make that energy stronger. So for me, when the moon hits Taurus, it's in my higher learning house, the house of Sagittarius, the 9th house. But that can also be the house of long distance travel. And that's where, for me, Uranus has been in the house of long distance travel for me for, shoot. That'd be interesting to look back. I know it's probably been a few years for me since Uranus stays in a sign for 7 years. It's funny how, I don't know, I guess I tend to try to say Uranus to avoid the laughing, being a little child about saying Uranus. Anyways, so I'd say, so this, your last moon in Taurus was, started out real good for me. But I don't know if you look back, it definitely was a big blow up for me. And it was right around when the moon crossed Uranus and Taurus. So always when you think of Uranus, that's all your crazy Aquarians like myself. One's trying to force feed you this astrology info. No, I don't know the term I like to use, force feed, because you know, a lot of us, or maybe even for thousands of years, but I don't know, people have been being force fed religion, and I'm not trying to dog or bag on religion, but there's still an element of being force fed it. And so yeah, in a certain sense, I'm trying to force feed you the knowledge of astrology, but it's because in my heart I believe it's something that people need. Maybe it's not a need, but it can bring greater light to the way I see it. We need to use it to reform society, and a global society. When you start to look at like charts and just where the planets line up, and yeah, there's a lot of interpretation, just like any language, but you give it a chance, it'll blow your damn life up. Hopefully, and then rebuild it back greater. But I think, you know, it's like when you start to look at children, they claim that they're ADHD. I think you'd actually end up seeing that those children are probably a large number of Geminis, or people with Mercury in Gemini, since Mercury deals with our mind. You know, the American society, we try to cookie cutter everybody, and like, so I myself was held back in first grade. And whatever, maybe certain children need that, but for me, it was a stigma that I carried like a black cloud over my head, like this asterisks, like, and I don't know, as much as certain things I've tried to not hold on to in life, it's like it still left its mark upon me. But when you start to look at someone's chart, you're going to be able to see, okay, this person's going to really struggle with reading, or this person's, you know, they're going to be great with numbers. So what I'm getting at is to potentially, the chart gives you a map of how that person is, or the certain energies they come in with. So to work with those instead of, oh, well, this is how we teach, this is how everyone's supposed to learn. I disagree with that. Like, you know, if somebody's going to be mechanically inclined, well, maybe you start turning them into a mechanic a bit sooner than wait until they're 18, 19. Moon and Taurus, foundation, long distance travel. So for me, my world was shooken up a little bit with long distance travel. Twice on this journey now. I bought some used tires a couple years back, yeah, I don't know, a year and a half ago. They had good tread, but they're a little dry rotted. Well, I'm sure this van of mine I have, the front end needs probably, the words aren't coming to mind, but a little rebuilding, but it's whatever. So you get a little extra shimmy within the tire. Well, it's been enough on this journey to create tire separation. It happened once the other day. Luckily, I felt it. Was raised by a mechanic, so, you know, well, the older I get, the more I've learned to trust my intuitions and not go against them. But thought everything was good. Started to feel a vibration, pulled out a rest stop, and one of my belts had actually broken and wrapped around the fan. Fixed that. Still had this vibration though. I got to Needles, California, and it was almost to Bullhead City where I grew up, and decided to stop and get gas since it's cheap, way cheaper in Arizona than California. And I hear this tss. So the other good tread, dry rotted tire had started to separate on me. Feel like that coincides with the moon potentially passing Uranus. But yeah, that was and on that note, I think wherever Uranus isn't going to be the same trend like for the moon passing. Like, so when the moon, you look at the moon as a satellite, you know, that would be kind of the scientific way that they look at the moon, as being a satellite. So what does a satellite do? A satellite grabs information and mirrors it or bounces it to somewhere else. So like the moon, when it's in a sign, and say it passes a planet in that particular sign, so in this case Uranus and Taurus, as it passes by, it grabs that info and then bounces it down to Earth on us. So normally when we think of Taurus, we think of solid, the mountain, it's not going to move. But we got Uranus there, and Uranus is that lightning striking, boom, you can't predict it. Even when if you can predict it, then it's not Uranus. So yeah, so whenever, yeah, I think I like that. That when the I know I'm pacing around. I tend to do that a lot when I think it's all the air energy. Anyways, so then the moon. Yeah. All right, losing my train of thought. That's all I got for you this evening. But yeah, I guess what I was getting at is now every time the moon hits Taurus, because that's the moon's favorite place to be, it's not, there's going to be a levelness of surprise and shaking things up. Whereas for the last 7 years, when the moon hit Taurus, I'm sure it was more of a true foundating comfort zone. But yeah, Uranus is shaking things up.